welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blenderhead, Blender HD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Monday, April 24th. And you know what we do on Mondays, right? It's Mondays with McCool. It's James McCool. Join with me. He's the co-author, The Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, 15-hour audio DFS Masterclass, as well as The Theory of DFS for advanced players with his custom Excel tools. You go pick up either of those at theoryofdfs.com. Good morning to the chat people, the early birds, Bart B, Mike Ostry, Defic, Wataz, Matt Mears, Suki Singh, Real Life Pitcher, Eric Brunick, Bacon 23, Grant Brown. Good morning. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit all the buttons. It makes us happier. It makes us more awake in the morning, right? On a Monday. James, you look excited.
It's been a long morning. Damascus did not have a good night last night. He's going through a growth spurt. So he was up a lot, and I've been up a lot. So I'm kind of tired this morning, but I'll be all right. I'm excited for this baseball slate. It's been a really fun last couple of weeks. So always excited. We get the leaderboard thing back on DraftKings tonight, and I've been
What's
thinking
that? I don't even know what that is. What are we talking about? The leaderboard thing?
So DraftKings does this like little tournament thing, and from now until the 30th, for the next 6-7 days, there are 3 unique contests. There's the aluminum, which is a $222 entry. There's the wooden, which is a $444, and then there's like, I don't remember what the lowest dollar one is called, but there's a $5 contest. And each one of them is a single entry. And over the next week, you accumulate points for how many points you score each slate. And at the end of it, the person who scored the most points gets an extra prize on top of it. I think the 222, which is the only one that I care about, the top score at the end of the week ends up getting an extra $3,000 deposited in their account. So it's a little extra equity. I am trying to.
I see here it's $222.22.
Yeah,
for one of them, and then there's a $44.44 one.
Yeah,
and then there's a $5.55 one. They're all single entry contests, and you could see on the 222 payout structure. I mean, pretty a flat payout structure. I mean, like these are pretty good payout structures in and of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm taking a look at the $44 one. Yeah, not bad. No, not bad at all. Yeah, right? 10 places, 400, first is 4,000. No. Why don't they who cares about the leaderboard? Just run those contests those ways all the time.
Well, so this is the thing that I'm looking at. I did a little bit of math on it earlier. I'm trying to figure out if playing the 222 with the added equity is better than playing the 250 for basically the same price point. And
I don't even know if it's an equity thing. I think just from a payout structure.
Well, the payout structure for the 250 is not bad. Like the payout structure for the 250.
No, but it's no, they're much different. I mean, no, there's not even close.
I said not bad. I didn't say that it was great. I said it's not bad. I'm trying to think of the high end equity for it. If they were to run the 250 at 20K to first the entire week, then I think the 250 would still eke out the EV of it. Simply because there's so much more high-end equity when you have 20K to 15K. However, they do drop that 250 down to 15K at certain points during the week, usually during the day games. So I think that the 222 is probably like the better one to play from an EV standpoint. Regardless, play the 222 and the 44, like play those because they're good and payout structures are good. And like there's a little bit added extra equity at the end. And everybody likes being a little bit competitive on the leaderboard or whatever. It's cool seeing your name up there. But for people like me who like to do math, I was just trying to calculate out the EV of it this morning. And I think the 250 has a little bit more EV, but it doesn't really matter. It's just, this is just thoughts.
Yeah, but the equity is more towards first place. I mean, I'd just take a look at the payout structure of the 250.
But those are the contests I like playing. That's what I'm talking about. I prefer.
You'd rather play a contest where it's 20,000 a first And instead of a ham sandwich to 10th place?
It's not a ham sandwich in the 250.
It's a ham sandwich to me. These are
No,
ham
no,
sandwiches.
it's not. No, it's not. You're being verbose.
Let's put it into perspective. Here's the 222 leaderboard one.
Yeah.
Payout. I mean, I could probably throw it up on the screen. What are we doing here? What am I looking on my phone?
Why are you on your phone?
Because that's what I typically look at stuff on my phone. I don't do much on the desktop other than upload I don't enter contests in the DraftKings lobby on desktop.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. So it's like typically I'm looking here. So it's like, okay. Aluminum bat leaderboard special 222. Right. And I click here, open link, and here's the ball 4, right? The 250.
Yeah.
Right. I can just click. Okay. What am I doing? I can click. Okay. Here's the ball 4. So here's 20,000 a first. I mean, obviously it's only 355 entries versus the other one is 650 entries.
Yeah.
But it's like I just take a look pretty much. I mean, how I compare payout structures, like what's first and what's 10th. Right? And I'd like to see first place be at most 25% of the prize pool, at most.
Okay.
If possible. And then 10th place to be 10% of first.
Okay.
Right? And flat along the way. So like
sure.
So here it's like it's not as horrible as like FanDuel's payout structure, but
no.
It's still right. You still get 20,000 first. I'd like to see 9th to 11th to be 2,000 rather than 1,000 and go split down from there. But then we go to the 222, right? Leaderboard special. You can see here is that first is 12%. Because we have the RotoGrinders extension where you could see, the margin, the rake and the split and everything. So you see here, 10th place is 1,500, which is 10% of first place.
Yeah.
So like I think ideally for you, the middle ground would be first place should be it should be a little bit top heavier, and maybe not, and maybe you start like 11th to 13th is 1,000 instead of 1,250. Yeah. 14th to 18th is 850 instead of 1,000. You take some of these little out of these and you add it up top.
I would give up, especially for a single entry contest. Not for the 250, not for a three entry max, but for a single entry contest. I am fine with it not being 2x to first to min cash. I'm fine with that.
Right, this is a tip. Right. We also have to see that min cash is 2x in the 250.
In 250, it's not today.
Right. 250 min cash is 1.6x.
Right. And usually it is 2x. When they drop it down in that 15K to first, then it is 2x to min cash.
But look at top 10 percentage. The top 10% of the prize pool is 59% of the prize pool versus 37% in the 222.
Sure. So
see at that point, see, like it's like to me, like this is the worst of both worlds. Like if you're gonna make it so that the top 10 get nearly 60% of the prize pool, you might as well just make the min cash be 2x and cut out some of these spots. Like, dude, cut out. Dude, I'm fine cutting out all these spots, 43rd to 76th. Make it that you have to come in 42nd to get 2x your money, right? Which is what this 500 is, right? It's a 250 contest. So fine, 500 there. And then take all this $400, right? 43rd to 76th is what? How many people? What we're talking about? 34 people? 34 times 400 is 13,600. So take that 13,600 and make it so that third place is 7,500 and fourth place is 5,000 and fifth place is 3,000 and this is 2,500, and then even out that first to 10th spot. It's still 60% of the top 10.
Yeah, but they don't like dropping that payout rate below 20%. That's a pretty consistent thing. They want to pay out a fifth of the field.
I'm not saying what they want. I'm saying what would be more beneficial. These 1.6x payouts are just, who cares? And look, even the double payout, like 27th place pays the same as 42nd place.
Yeah, and that feels terrible. I totally agree. That's pretty commonplace though. That's why the 222, like today, it's a good contest. Like you should play it. I think it's good. The only thing that I wish that it was 20K to first. That's it. If it was 20K to first, I'd be happy. That's all.
Is the difference in 5K going to matter to your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you're going to win first. So it doesn't matter that you come in 4th place in this contest. You get more money than coming in 4th place in the other contest.
Right. I don't care. Like the way that I look at it is I want to play for first. Like my goal is to win first. Right. Obviously. So of course the 5K matters. Like if we're talking about first place in the contest being $5,000 less, like that matters. And to add on to that, this aluminum bat. So the 222 at the end of this contest, the person who gets the most points gets an extra $3,000 deposited into their account, which is that's fine. That's cool. But
is that the only person that gets anything?
No. It scales down. Like if you go down, you can see the leaderboard.
Okay, you see here. Here's so up to 400. Okay.
Yeah.
So even on the $5 one, the 400th gets $5.
Yeah.
Right. And the 222
money back if you place.
If you're in the top 100, if you're in the top 100 in the 222, or the top 200 in the 44, or in the top 400 in the $5, essentially one of your entry fees is paid for.
Basically, if you place in the top third, if we're assuming that mostly the same people are going to play, I guess the top like 4th of the contest, another 25%. But even when you're looking at this, like the extra $3,000 in equity there, like if it was 20K to first, then that 3K equity competes with what I would expect to win from the 250. So that's the way that I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the first place equity, whereas, you get a flatter payout structure and it's a little bit better should you finish 6th or whatever. And I totally hear your point in that.
Well, that's my point comes into variance is that
absolutely
you coming in, the difference between coming in 10th and 1st in these types of contests is something that you pretty much can't control. Like, oh, well, I'm aiming for 1st. I'm like, well, I'm aiming for 10th. Like, no, if you're aiming for 10th, you're aiming for 1st. I mean, it's like the types of lineups that you're going to build aren't going to be any different, right? So, like, to me, the difference in like 5 points is uncontrollable. And in the long run, you'd have to have 7 million lifetimes.
In baseball, it's not just 5 points, though. In NBA, sure. But like the difference for baseball, it can be significantly larger. You know that.
On one given day, it's like, well, this guy hit an extra double, and this guy and this pitcher has
days. It's not like we're looking at this and like, if we play this contest for the next years, it lasts 6 days.
Yeah, I know, but that's how I treat. That's my mindset of like, if you play this contest over and over again, I want to make it so that like if I get enough 3rds and 6ths and 4ths and 2nds, that it's not like, oh, well, I lost money.
Well, you wouldn't lose money on that if you were playing the 250 either way.
Oh, absolutely you can.
I think you would have you would have a better
shot.
Imagine
coming in 6th all the time, and you have 2,000 instead of 20,000.
Yeah.
Why can't it just be flatter?
I agree. I wish it was flat.
Okay, but you're arguing that you don't want. No, I want $1 million at first, and 2nd place is $1.
God, I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth.
Well, that's an extreme version of what you want. You're aiming for 1st. You want $1 million to first. You want the Millie Maker to be 250,000 entries, and it had to be just winner take all. The winner gets $12 million, and the 2nd place person gets nothing.
Hey, chat, I'm gonna need you back up here because at no point did I ever say that. At no point did I ever say that I hope every contest is winner take all. I like something close to 100x for 1st place. That's all that I'm saying. That's it.
There aren't that many contests that do that.
I know.
In fact, it for DraftKings, like the misunderstanding on DraftKings is that I feel as if their contest payout structures are based on the stakes are the opposite of what they should be. Meaning that the larger contests, like larger stakes contests, are too top heavy, and the lower stakes contests are too not top heavy. Like for instance, if we go to I never used tournaments just to find. Like, I don't know. I can't even. This is probably bad for me because I can't even see like the dollar mini max or something like that. But like if you take a look at the four-seamer, the $4.20 max.
Yeah.
Like the $4.20 max today is like it's $5,000 for first place.
Yeah.
Right? It's a 14,800 person contest, 800 entry contest. The relay throw is 23,500 entries. Right? So we take a look at the relay throw, and obviously this payout structure is a mess. 100,000 a first, 25,000, 10,000, 5,000, right? 10th place, 8th place.
It's hilarious.
8th place is 1% of first place.
I know.
Okay? So this is hilariously too top heavy.
Sure.
But I believe this is the contest that this should be 30,000 to first. Like, if anything, like it's a $300,000 prize pool, 10% to first place. Like, if anything, like maybe you say it's 40,000 or whatever, but I'm just saying that first place is 33% of the prize pool in this contest. I think it should be much less. And then you go down to the four-seamer, if I could find it. MLB tournaments. So much easier to find on my phone. Right here's the four-seamer. Like this one is 10% to first place. I feel like for a $4 entry, like this contest would be better if it had a tie. If it was 10,000 to first.
This payout structure, I wish they just offered a $40 version of this and just 10x'd everything.
Right. Well, there you go. But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
But at like the dollar level, imagine playing the mini max for $1 and first place is $1,000.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it's 150 max contest. Like, why the hell would you ever max it out when like first place is 1,000 and
there are so many contests like that, and it's so gross.
But that's the point. Like those contests, the dollar mini max, that's the contest where first place should be $5,000 and 10th place should be $500. Not the ones where it's $10, $15, $40, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can never get like it's like at that point, and this is something that I suggest because people ask. I don't think this is a hot take. I think you should never play the $1 or 50-cent mini max or the quarter arcade unless you're practicing.
I agree with that.
Unless you're like, okay, I'm not used to building, 50, 100 line. I'm not used to and I don't want to spend that much, and I don't want, so I'm gonna do it for cheap. I'm gonna do for $5 instead of $500. And you want to practice some at that level, I think that's fine. I think it would be better off if you had $50, or let's say you had $60.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, do I play let's say you had $80 or $100 or something like that. And it's like, do I play 100 entries into the $1 mini max? Do I play 20 entries into the $4 20 max? Right? $80. Or do I play like 5 or 6 entries into the $15 large field? The $15, like the relay throw. Yeah. Truthfully, the answer should be 6 entries into the $15 relay throw. From both expected value standpoint, because that contest is the softest contest. Yeah. Because of the 20-30% of the contests are randos that throwing in, especially in MLB, unstacked garbage lineups or whatever. And then the contest size of the 20 max, yeah, it's smaller. It is smaller. But it's still like a 14,000 entry contest. Like it's not a 24,000 entry contest. You're still building lineups that probably would win the relay throw also. Yeah. So why not just build 6 good ones that when they hit, they get 100,000 or 50,000, rather than when they hit, get 3,000 to 5,000. Right. It's just that now you have less lineups, but the $4 20 max actually is sharper. Like that's a sharper contest than the $15 relay throw. And I would suspect the $1 mini max is also a sharper contest than the $15 relay throw. And the payout structure makes it that if you're going to play $50 worth of stuff, like you're just going to spin your wheels so much, because when you win first, you just don't win enough money.
Yeah.
Like just raw money of like, imagine playing, I'm going to play 20 entries into the mini max at $1 for $20. Like, how long is it going to take you to get a bankroll of 5 figures or something to even start playing the relay throw? Like, it's going to take you forever. And you can win, and you'll win it. You'll win the mini max 3 or 4 times over the course of a year and a half, and then be like, oh yeah, my bankroll is now $8,000. Right? Like, and which is great. You started with 500 and now you're up to $8,000.
Yeah, that's sick.
That's sick. That's nice.
Now,
right?
Now you have another full year of grinding before you can even consider.
Right. Consider starting to play the relay throw. Yet, if you build less lineups, it's possible, instead of binking the mini max 3 or 4 times, you bink the relay throw once and you have $100,000 or $50 to $100,000.
Yeah.
Like, you get a much bigger spike. And even if you just simulated this, like, the relay throw is actually an easier contest. Because the variance is obviously going to be higher because you're playing less lineups.
I don't know if it's an easier contest than the $1 simply because the pros can't enter the mini max. Like, I think that there are enough good lineups in the 15. Like, the disparity is probably larger. I think there are more bad lineups in the 15 than the $1, but I also think there are significantly more really good lineups in the 15. But
you have to check that out. I can't see them, James. I don't even know what they look like.
Well, I mean,
literally, like, dude, I download CSVs and analyze stuff, but I mean, I'm only pondering that they're about even strength, but I haven't been able to see. I literally can't see it in the lobby for the past 2.5 years. So, like, I'm going by your word, by what they look like, because I literally can't even see them in the lobby.
Well, I mean, and I'm just pondering.
Well, like Eric Brunick says there's far more. He's someone that plays it, I guess, or down there. There's far more 150 maxers in the mini max than there is.
No. I would absolutely agree and understand there are more 150 maxers in the mini max, but I don't think that means there are more good 150 maxers in the mini max.
Well, you can't really 150 max the mini max for too long without going broke, right?
What?
When it only pays like $1,000 the first. I mean, come on.
No, I know. I think that that's probably a hot take to think that the $1 is sharper than the 15. That's all I'm saying. I'll just say that.
And Eric Brunick also says, didn't I bid? Yes, I know that the irony of all ironies is that I've complained about these payout structures for like forever, since I went from soccer into other sports, and I'm like, why can't it be flatter? Why can't it be flatter? And of course, my I can't even say it's my biggest MLB win, because it's not. I won more on second place. I won the debt, like, literally. I was complaining, and then they said, you know what? Like, someone actually reached out to me and said, we're gonna experiment with more flat. We're gonna throw out a flat payout structure every so often, just so we could test. And the first time they did that, like 2 or 3 years ago or something, like, that's the contest. I won the large field contest that night for like 30,000. If anything, it would have been 50 or 100K to first. It would have been, right? But the thing is, I want to clap back that because it was a flatter payout structure, I played more lineups that day. It's quite possible I wouldn't have made the lineup that would have won 50 or 100K. But it's odd that my highest MLB win is a second place for 40K.
Yeah,
and not a first place on draft.
I had back a while ago, like 6 years ago or something, back when they were still doing the free contest based on your tier, right?
Oh, the VIP free rolls.
Yeah, the free rolls, right? So I was so done with NFL. I was so mad at NFL by week 16 or whatever. And it was the thing I played the most. So the free roll was I was through week 15. The free roll was a week 16, or it might have been like first week of playoffs. And I'm just livid. I'm fuming. I'm tweeting about it on Twitter. I tagged John Aguiar. Like, why are we doing this? Like, it's NBA season. Why do I have to play this free NFL contest? And I took down all 3 of them. Like, as soon as you start complaining, it's like, of course, that's going to be the one that you win. And then everybody's like, oh, I'll bet you wish you would have been playing some more NFL. I'm like, no, I built this lineup. It was a bad lineup that I won with because I didn't want to play this. And it just
threw in any old lineup or whatever.
Yeah, it faded literally all the chalk. It was like the worst lineup that I built all year. I ended up playing with it. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. Nelson Addict said there should be almost no difference in EV for 20K to first versus 15K to first in that contest. I agree. That's why I'm just saying that it's like a personal preference thing. Like I just would prefer it. I just think that that's something that I prefer to see. The EV comment was about the entire structure of the thing with the added equity towards the end with that 3K added.
But if the EV is the same, don't you want lower risk?
I don't think that I care that much about that.
Well, because I'm a nit and I like protecting my bankroll.
Well, I know you are. I don't care that much. I'm not that big of a nit. So it's a preference thing. It's just what I like to see. I like to see it as close to 100x to first as possible. It's obviously not like a deal breaker for me. It's just what I like to see.
Stephen Jones says that there's a lot of sharp people grinding the mini max contests every day.
I agree with that. I'm not saying that it's not I'm not saying that sharp people don't play it. I just thought that it was maybe a bit of a hot take to say that the 15 was easier than the $1.
But I think even if there was a slight difference, I just can't see mathematically. Maybe Nelson could run a sim, right? Right. Nelson could run a sim for us. I mean, he obviously not. He can't just set that up right now. So he always does those the golf sims on Twitter. Just like sim out like the best DFS player playing the relay throw for 15 versus playing the $1 mini max that has like 10% to first place. Like how long, like on average, for instance, the $100 mini max, like the $1 mini max, if you played 150 lineups, right? That's $1 a lineup. Play 10 lineups into the relay throw, right? So that's $150 also.
Yeah.
Right. And randomly choose the 10 out of the 150 that you'd play in the minute, and then see what the bankroll progression looks like. Like I would bet that on average, if we agreed that the contests were similar in strength, just similar, we don't have to. We just you could say it's slightly easier, you could say it's slightly harder, but it's not going to be dramatic enough for this simulation that. If you said, like, how long does it take for someone to get a $100,000 bankroll or something like that, I'd almost guarantee you that playing the 10 lineups in the relay throw gets you there way quicker.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
Than the one. How do you win that contest enough for the amount of entries that you play? Mm-hmm. That like even if you control for a certain like risk, so let's say like you have a $15,000 bankroll, right? And you're playing 1% of your bank, right? You know, like something like that. And you go, what's the average length of one contest versus the other contest as far as hitting some bankroll threshold versus zero versus virtual zero, right? Yeah. Like risk of ruin versus thing. I can't see the mini max being anywhere close to that, and I don't think the risk of ruin on a $15,000 bankroll playing $150 in the mini max is probably pretty low, but it probably would take you like 20 times longer to get to $100,000.
Well, I mean, just think about if you hit that $100,000 once, like. That's the end of that simulation, right? Like,
right. Well, but that's essentially what you're simulating. Of like, if you're only taking 10 lineups, how often? When do you win your first one? And that's about it. Right. But of course, obviously, there are certain scenarios where you come in sixth and then you come in second, and like there are ways to get there. But I just feel like with 10 lineups, you could build 10 lineups over the course of 3 seasons of MLB. And if you're building plus EV lineups, have a decent shot at hitting one out of 600 slates, right? A decent enough shot.
Yep.
that if you played the mini max, like how do you get after 600 slates? How are you at $50,000? Like I can't see that being possible.
I agree with you. I think that the mini max and the quarter arcade are great for practice. I don't think that they are great for bankroll building. Most people, I tell most people if they want to build their bankroll to play the $4, only because I do think that like the added benefit of being able to max out your entries is valuable. But even then, like I think that playing the 15, if you had $100 to spend a night and you wanted to play 6 in the 15 rather than playing 20 in the $4, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Nelson says the payout structure discussion is a double-edged sword. Better GPP players will have larger edges in very top-heavy payouts. I absolutely agree with that. But the bankroll required to play them is quite a bit larger. That's the key. Like the point is, I'm not ceding the fact that the more top-heavy the payout structure is, the more that it benefits sharp players. Yep. And why is that? Right? Why is that? Because bad players are players that are not building for first place.
Right.
I mean, most of the equity, we've gone through that discussion of where the equity lies in a contest.
Yeah.
Right. Where does the money come from? Right. The lineups that are too low projected or too high owned. Like that's where your profit comes from. And the more and more you put towards first place, the more and more that effect happens, right? Because then the people that are like, oh yeah, I'm not playing the highest owned lineup, and no, I'm not playing the lowest projected lineup, but they're not playing even less owned players.
Yeah,
they're not even playing. They're like
they're
maybe
still
you're not doing enough.
Maybe your median expectation isn't 40th percentile, but it's probably only 20th percentile. Like right. You're not really pushing for first,
right? So it's like that benefits sharper players that know how to build for these contests. The problem is that the variance is ridiculous, right? So it's like oh yeah, I'd if the Millie Maker was 10 million in NFL was 10 million to first, winner take all, the sharpest players would have like the biggest edge, like completely, but like almost everyone would be broke. I mean, like dude, like it's 200,000 plus entries. It's like, okay, I'm going to max it out for what? For $3,000, and 99+% of the time I get minus $3,000. Like, what does your bankroll have to look like? Yes, the EV is the highest, but like, are you Bill Gates? I mean, like, how much? You need like exorbitant amount of money in order to survive that, to even realize that edge. So, like, my attitude, I tend to lean in this conversation. I think everyone, to some extent, agrees that the payout structures are at least a little too top heavy.
Yeah.
I don't see many people that are like, no, I wish they were heavier. Like I don't see many of those. But I do see ones that are like, no, I prefer their top heavy. Maybe they just should be slightly better. And I lean more towards the size of I think they could be significantly better. And it comes from the point of bankroll management perspective of like the flatter the payouts, the lower the bankroll of the players, like the ecosystem to maintain to sustain that type of contest. So I just view it from an ecosystem perspective that we do these, 50% the first place contests. It's like what's going to end up happening after 3 years is that there's going to be a handful of people that have all this money and then a whole bunch of broke people, right? Because there's just like people come in 8th and just don't get paid enough. Like they come in 12th and then they come in 3rd and they still don't get paid enough. Yet, flatter the payout structure, it's like, yeah, there's less people that have a lot of money, but there's more people that like they're only like minus 30% losers, minus 20% losers, and then some plus 30% winners. So it isn't as, barbelled. So I think that would be better for the ecosystem as a whole. But I mean, if you're just looking to take as much money as you can, as quick as you can, I mean, obviously the top heavy ones are the ones that, then you don't care about the future.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's better for the ecosystem. Certainly agree. My stance is mostly that I do think that contests, I personally would prefer it to be lower min cash threshold. That's my answer to this. Like when I was saying that DraftKings likes to keep it above the 20% threshold, I think that there are plenty of contests that could survive really well at an 18% threshold or a 16% threshold or something like that, if it was a lot flatter. There's going to be a place where, I mean, there were a couple of years ago, they were rolling out contests that had like a 30% min cash threshold or something. And the structure for it was not great. But people were attracted to it because it would pay out 30% of the field and you'd get like 1.5x or something like that to the lowest range. So I don't know.
We see in the chat, Eric, they're posting the mini max. I mean, I think maybe Nelson's going to try it.
Yeah, he's going to try it.
47,000. Yeah. The mini max has like twice as many entries as the relay throw, and it's 4K to first. So it's a 40K prize pool with 4K to first, $200 to 10th. So it's not even that flat, right? I mean, like 400 to 10th would be like 1%, like, but that first place being only 4K, like to me, it's 47. Imagine beating 47,000 entries and getting paid 4K on $1 when it's like, dude, play 10 lineups into the relay throw and dude, fourth place gets paid more than that. I mean, like, and it's less entries. It's like, it just feels like, imagine playing 150 entries into this contest where you play 150 entries for $1. Like you're told, like that's like almost 5% of what first place is.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing here, right? Like if you will find out, I think in that, how much worse you are than you think you are. Because even when you bink that, like there's a chance that if you only win that once a year, you're underwater. Big time. Like way underwater. If you win that twice a year, maybe you're still underwater, right? Like,
well, that's the point I'm making. How could you make it so that you have to win a contest that's twice the size of the relay throw at least once a month in order to make money? Like by playing 150 lineups. And I get what Nelson's saying, that you still need a much larger bankroll to play the 10 lineups in the $15 versus 150 and the $1. And that's primarily because of just diversification and variance, is that you're more likely to lose all of your entries out of 10 versus not all of your entries out of 150. But that's not the question I'm asking. I'm not asking like you need a much larger bankroll. I'm talking about like if you set I'm going to take whatever the bankroll number you want to use for either of them, right? How long would it take you to get to a certain point versus others in one contest versus the other? I mean, that's to me, that's because anyone that's unless you're playing for fun, for funsies, for entertainmentsies, right? I just can't see how like you could make a significant, decent enough income playing max, entering the $1 mini max.
Well, so here's the caveat here, I guess, is if we're gonna actually turn this into a scenario. So say you have a $15,000 bankroll and you want to get up to a $50,000 bankroll so that you can max that. 50,000 isn't even enough to do that. So you have a $15,000 bankroll and you're maxing the mini max so you can get up to a $25,000 bankroll so that you can then put 20 entries into the relay or something like that, right? What amount of time do you have to spend in the mini max in order to then justify stepping into the relay throw? I guess is the more realistic question here. Not how quickly can you make $100,000, but how quickly can you move up from the mini max into the relay so that you actually have a chance at 100,000? Because you don't ever have a chance. It's not even in the realm of possibilities to make $100,000 playing the mini max. Like I don't.
That's the point. That's exactly the point. It's like I don't know how you do that.
So the point, a better question to ask, a better point to ask is how long do you have to play the mini max in order to then step into the relay throw? That's the better question here.
Okay, well, I mean that's a similar. Whatever the target points, feel free to change whatever the target points. I'm looking for like a distance of time more than anything else, an average amount of time.
Yeah, I think that's hard. Like, would you have a better shot at playing 10 entries in the $15 rather than $150 in the mini max simply to double your bankroll? How about we ask that?
Yeah, but Nelson's making the mathematical point that the EV is the same. Like if he said the EV is the same, like if you play $150 each state and your ROI is 20%.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Right. That's on average. But I'm not. See, the thing is, I'm not looking at the average. Like
No,
realizing you're expected. Like yeah, on average. Yeah, I get on average. Right. Yeah. If we ran this out to an infinite time loop or whatever, I'm talking about from a realistic purpose of like on average. For instance, if I told you, James, that on average I win one large field GPP a year. Yeah. On average, I could go 12 years without winning a GPP and then win 6 in 1 year. I mean, like the variance works out like to that extent.
Sure.
So it's like, I'm not asking like, oh yeah, you average. Yeah. So at the end of the year, you'll have $6,000. It's like, how many, you don't have those outcomes that you just have. Oh, on average, I'll make 6. Yeah. On average, if we played this out 100, 1,000 times, I'm talking about in each of these scenarios, like it's this bimodal nature. It's not going to be normally distributed. It's not, oh, you're most likely going to end up with 6. If you're playing cash games, if you're playing props, then it's going to look normally distributed. So I'm saying that in this bimodal type of nature of how your outcomes come out, is like how many outcomes of you playing $150 in the mini max versus $150 in the relay throw, like that. When's the point? Like at the end of the year, on average, if we averaged out 10,000 times, it would be $6,000, right? It would be something like that. But it's like, well, out of the 1,000 outcomes, is it like 150 of those outcomes? You would have been better off. You would have gotten to your goal within the first year of playing. And then there's like 200 outcomes where you go broke, right? And then there's some in the middle, like that's. I'm looking more at that. Because that, to me, that's realistic. You can't just go by, well, if your edge is the same, like you should expect $6,000 at the end of the year. Yeah, on average, if you played out for 20 years. But people's goals aren't like, yeah, I'm gonna be playing the mini max for 20 years. Like, dude, no one has no one's gonna reach that sample size. So you have to give advice towards like, would I rather? If I'm looking to build my bankroll, it's like taking a shot. Like if you're gonna try, how many other ways am I gonna put it? What is the better option in trying to expose yourself to short-term variance? Even if both, that's a better way of putting it. Which would be better for you from a short-term variance perspective compared to the time it would take if you went the lowest variance route? Like, isn't that what I'm really asking?
Yeah, you're in super layman's terms. You're basically saying which one makes you more money faster,
right? Right. Which is more? No. That's not really what I'm saying. Which one has more shot at making you more money faster?
Right. Yeah.
Than the other one.
And Nelson responded to that with, if you had 500 people opt for the relay strategy and 500 opt for the mini max, the biggest winner would come from the relay strategy. And that's basically what we have been saying.
But a larger percentage of the mini max people would win money over the season.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So like it's the type of thing where, oh, you're gonna max out the mini max, and at the end of the year, like it's like, oh, I'm up $2,200. But there's going to be a lot of people that do the relay throw that at the end of the year will be down money. Like you're more likely to be down $4,000, $5,000. You're much more likely. But to compensate for that, there's also going to be plenty of people that are up 50,000, 20,000, 30,000.
A handful,
right?
Yeah.
A handful of those, right? So if you don't mind that risk of negative,
right?
Like that would be the easier path to go from like move up in stakes and go like this rather than the mini max where it's like the best mini max player is like up like maybe 10,000 on the year. Maybe. Yeah. I mean, that may be a stretch. right? And it's like, well, how many years can I play? How many years do I have to play the mini max before I have a $50,000 bankroll? It's like, well, I could get there. I may be able to get there in 8 years, 10 years, and your risk of ruin will be lower. But there's going to be plenty of people. If you're good enough to do that, why don't you take on a little bit more risk and just play 10 lineups in the relay throw?
Right.
And by year 3, you'll figure out, like, would you rather wait until year 10 to have 50,000, or quite possibly by year 4 have $2.5 million bankroll because you benefited from short-term variance, and then you use your skill to, well, now I have a $200,000 bankroll, so now I'm going to enter the $1,500 contest, and then I have a 20% ROI in that, and then, everything is, it's like compound interest. It's like you're building upon yourself. Like, you've so much more of a shot doing that 10 lineups in the relay throw. But James, as you've said in previous episodes, the number one thing to you to always determine first before anything else is what your goals are.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you want to accomplish? What we are basically describing is Bro's path towards where he is now. He played the mini-max as a way to get to a point where he could play enough in the relay throw to where he felt that he could maximize his edge. And then he was able to get a hit in I don't think it was a relay throw. I think it was actually NBA. But he got a hit in the large flagship contest, and then he was able to compound that with his skill and then become a high-rolling player. If that is the goal of the person playing, then starting in the mini-max, assessing what your skill is based on how good you perform in the mini-max, and then realizing that you can then compound that into the higher upside contests is what you should do. That would
what
be
you
the
can
advice.
do. You don't have to. You can do.
Well, that would be the advice that I would give to somebody who wants to try to get up there, even though they have a relatively smaller bankroll. Like, I would say that you need to test yourself. Like we said earlier in this podcast episode, the quarter arcade and the $1 should be for practice and for seeing if you are good enough to play in the higher dollar stuff. It's not.
It'll take you a long time to figure out if you are good enough.
Well, I think that if
you figure that out
if you play for like 1 or 2 years, and again, like in 1 or 2 years, I think you're going to know if you're good enough to play higher dollar stuff out of playing just the mini-max. I do think that you'll know. You won't realize all of your EV. You might sunrun a little bit, but like you're going to know if you've made money consistently. You're going to know if you've gotten your ass kicked mostly, right? Like you're going to know. So then you'll know if you can jump up farther into the 15 or, whatever the flagship is.
I mean, the same thing for the single entry stuff. I mean, I know we're talking about the larger field stuff, but like I view it the same way as like the $5 single entry, the $3 single entry. It's like, I view those contests as practice, right? It's like, well, I'm going to play those contests. Like, dude, just play one lineup in the $40 one or the try to get yourself up to the 121, which they're not running obviously because of these leaderboard ones.
Yeah.
But like try to get yourself up there. It's very similar in poker. That with like the difference in a live poker at least. Like there's like 1-2 no limit, 1-3 no limit, there's 2-5 no limit, there's 5-10 no limit. Like the stakes go up. The rake eats you up so much at 1-3 or 1-2. And the skill difference between the players live at 1-2 versus 2-5 isn't as dramatic as you think. Like it's so much better to like just move up to even if you don't buy in for the max at 2-5 is like 1,000 max typically. And 1-2 is like 300 max. It's like your skill benefits more the more money you have on the table, obviously. Right. But the rake eats up so much at the lowest stakes that you'd make more money even if there were some stronger players in the game at 2-5 just by not being involved in what we're going to consider the rake and the stack sizes at 1-2 to be just an awful payout structure. Like 1-2 no limit is a high rake game with 10% to first, like DFS contest. It operates more like the mini max. right? Where it's like, oh, it's easy to profit, but it's hard to have a very big hourly rate in it.
Mhm.
Like it's very like it's if you want to sit at a 1-1-2 table and get and make $15 an hour, I think it's absolutely unequivocally doable. The problem is that you should be making like $35 an hour, but like all of that money is going to the rake. So it's like you're paying so much in rake just to make $15 an hour, just by simply moving up to 2.5. Even though what's less, it's now I have a smaller bankroll for this, is that the stack sizes are deeper, which means you get to exploit your skill edge more, and the rake is the same as 1-2, which means you could end up making 40, 50, $60 an hour in that game, even though it is slightly stronger, just because the structure of the game is deeper with less rake.
Right.
And then as you move up to like 5-10 or something, if you find a 5-10, 5,000 max game, which most of the time they don't offer, like, or uncapped or something like that. Like that's the equivalent of like, okay, not deep stacks, low rake. Like that's what you should look for. But like the 1-2 games are high rakes, short stacks. It's like they're easy to beat. Yes. And if you go to your live poker room and you have basically if you could breathe and understand anything about just very basic poker strategy, you could beat those games like that. There's no problem. How much you could beat them for? Probably not much. Not. It's like, oh yeah, you have money for maybe you play that 40 hours a week. At the end of the year, you have money to take your wife and kids on vacation. I mean, like
you
that.
You got $12,000.
Right, you got like 12. Right, something like that. But if you want to make like $50,000 or $100,000, like you could go up. So you're not, when someone's willing to call you with the nuts, and there's a difference between someone that's willing to do that for $1,600 at the 2-5 game for all his chips than someone that's sitting there with a short stack of $46. Right. Like that's the difference of like, look, oh, I can stack someone at this game. And you look around, and it's like everyone has like $120 in front of them. Yeah. And $5, $6 is coming out of every pot. To me, I view that's what the mini max is. So I get what Nelson's saying. Like if you simulate it out, there are more winners at the mini max, but there's very few big winners.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're looking, your goal is like, no, I'm looking to take a shot and now have a six-figure bankroll. Like the mini max ain't the way to do it. Like you practice the mini max, so you're like, oh, if I could do pretty well in the mini max, I could probably do pretty well in the relay throw. I could probably do pretty well in the 20 max.
I think you practice the mini max so you can understand how to build out your process and understand the way that you need to put together lineups. Because when you're playing the mini max, you have 150 lineups there. You scale that down 10, you can kind of replicate your process out. You're not going to be able to spread out your exposures as much. You're not going to be able to manage quite as much in your portfolio. But I do think that that's what you're doing. You're practicing so that you can then say, okay, I usually play with 150 lineups. Here's my process. Here's how I put together my groups. Here's how I put together here's how I spread things out, blah, blah, blah. And then just scale that down to 15, throw those in the relay. That's what you should be doing. One thing before we end this, Eric Brunick did say at some point during that climb, though, the mini-max player will almost certainly be also taking shots at the relay throw. It's not an either-or thing. Yes and no. I think that if you're playing the mini-max and you understand why you're playing the mini-max, I don't think that you'll be taking as many shots in the relay throw as you think. A lot of the people that I've worked with through coaching sessions, like if they're taking shots in the relay, I usually think that they should just be taking shots at the relay. If you think you're good enough to be doing that, then you should just be doing that. You shouldn't be playing the mini-max. If you are dedicating yourself to playing the mini-max to practice and to develop your process and to hone your skills, I think you're taking less shots at the relay until you are ready to move up to the relay. So if somebody is doing both at the same time, I think that they just need to figure out their goals. I just don't think that you really have an understanding of why you're playing.
Right. Well, I mean, to me, it's a goals thing. I admit, if you would have maxed out the mini-max and you're a good player, you will make money.
Yep.
Just it's
how much?
Not a substantial amount of money,
right.
which is fine. And if you're fine, like, look, it's coming from me. the knit of all knits, right? Of course, and be like, oh, well, if you want to just like at the end of the year, like have a couple of grand, like you can easily do that in the mini max. And if that's like, oh, if that's appealing to you, then who am I to say don't do it? But to me, GPPs are about winning a lot of money, right?
Yep.
So like, I'd rather play a much smaller percentage of my bankroll and try to hit 30K to 50K, right? Than not. The other part, the low risk part of my portfolio, of my volume, that's going to not be in GPPs. That's going to be in small field stuff and triple ups or prop bets or something. You know, I mean, I've been like for MLB, like essentially my cash game play in DFS are props now.
Mm-hmm.
So like all my volume that would normally go to that is in props.
Yep.
So like to me, it's like, okay, 90% of my volume is in props, and then 10% is I want to win 5K, 10K, 50K, 100K. Like,
yeah,
that's perfectly fine. The same type of thing of like the mini max of like, well, I'll play the mini max and I'll take 5 lineups into the relay throw. It's like you could do that also. But my point is that if you're looking to churn out the money that you would make in the mini max, I think there's just better places to put it. If you want low variance, skillful income.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That if you could afford to play 5 entries in the relay throw, play 5 entries in the relay throw. And unless you're looking to practice MME style building portfolios in the mini max, if your goal 5 years from now is to be one of the 150 relay throw max enters, then yes, I think you should continue to play the 150 mini max, because you'll learn you're showing a profit. It's not that much of a profit, but you're now learning how to build these 150 sets over and over and over again, so that 5 years from now, you're now entering $2,200 every day or multiple sites. And it's like, okay, because you've learned over the course of 5 years. But if your goal is not that, like, dude, like what do you, if you're never looking to play 150 max to relay throw, I don't know why would you even consider playing the mini max at all?
Yeah. And as soon as you say, if you want to be able to do this in 5 years, as soon as you say 5 years, most people just do now.
Yeah, but people need to have goals, man.
I know, goals. It's important.
5 years isn't that long.
It's not. I know it's not.
That's what I thought I mean, of course, the first year of me playing was just for fun. Then once I saw it could be like poker, I'd be like, okay, now and I need to put a plan in place. What's my plan? How do I build my bankroll? Right? And then you stick to it.
Yeah.
And you just have to have patience. Most people like that. That's what you said, James. Essentially, they tune you out after you say 5 years. It's like, yeah, because people don't have patience.
Right.
Okay, James. We talk about this, right? We talk about this in the risk management chapter of Theory Daily Fantasy Sports.
We do.
And people can pick that up at theoryofdfs.com.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was giving you some rope to maybe you could even promote it.
I promote it, just not on here. This is you always do that. You got to let me know if I need to throw it out there.
I don't know. Maybe people don't believe me anymore.
Of
course, you're saying nice things about it. It's your thing. Well, it's your thing also.
It's also my thing, and I really do think it's been a couple of years since we have been doing this podcast and talking through strategy and everything like that, and I hear from people still every week how much it has helped them, and how much like them listening to these audio courses and working through these things and applying the concepts has really made them a significantly better player. And it's probably, Jordan, I say this with earnest, it's probably the best thing that I've ever done in my DFS career is put this together. Like the me and you putting this together, I think has helped a lot of people be really, really, really good in terms of like where they should be in the way that they play. And I'm really proud of it.
I think like a DFS player, the best thing is the money that I win.
Yeah.
I'll take my 100K MMA win over this course.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and that sounds like one time I was talking to Colin Druby and he said something very similar. And that's, I'm a content creator and I like to help people. That's why I do coaching. That's why agreed to put this together. Like, I like seeing people succeed, and I like helping people succeed. That's been my goal for a long time. So
I start with I would like to see myself succeed.
Yes, you do.
And then after I'm content with my success, I like teaching people.
Yeah, I flip it. I like seeing other people succeed, and if I can have some success in the background, that's cool too.
Yeah, I'm
much more capitalist. You were a front man for a metal band, and I was a right tackle.
Right, exactly. Right.
It's very, very different in the way that we are.
I'm the lead singer. It's like I ain't carrying the drum kick unless I need to. Right?
Nope.
Like I ain't helping you.
Nope.
Why do we need all those drums? You don't need that role to be with all. Come on, take a drum away. It's less equipment in the van. Get out of here. Why do we need all of that? Right? And the drummer is the one that's like, I'm just happy if the band succeeds. It's like, get out of here. Okay, hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door. Thummy thumbs. You know how much we love those. We got Grinders Live later. We got an MLB slate. We got XFL, USFL, PGA, soccer, MMA. We got tons of stuff. And of course, submit your questions. Questions at theoryofdfs.com. You know, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think Wednesday we're doing Grinders Live. Yeah, we have some mixed in early slates. So, you know, I'll be on Grinders Live for those. So submit your questions. I cover your questions on this show, right? So like you submit them, I answer them. So get them in. Questions at theoryofdfs.com. And I'll be covering those. You can follow James on Twitter at paydirt_DFS or paydirtdfs.com. And yeah, so this is why, James, I always start with like I wish the best of luck to me and the worst of like if you're in my contests, my goal is not to help you. My goal is to beat you first. You come in second, right? Like that's fine. Like you're competing for second place. That's the way it should be. And if you're not in my contests, then good luck. Win all the if you want to win. I can't even see the mini max. So I wish all of you just keep on winning the mini max.
We hope that you don't continue to play the mini max. We'll be clear on that.
No, well, hopefully you hope that it would be smart for them not to continue to just play that for years.
Right.
But it would be smart I'd rather them not in my contests.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you played 222, congrats on second. I'll be taking first.
You'll be taking first? I'm going to be taking.
No,
am I even going to play it's a 7-game slate? Okay.
It's a good slate.
Yeah, you're right. I should be playing it.
Yeah, it's good slate.
Right. I did well in props yesterday, so I didn't even play. I didn't even make a DFS. Sundays are just awful for DFS.
Oh, they're so gross
because the lineups never come out on time and everything like that. I just hate the early Sunday ones. So I just did props and crushed. So like that's perfectly fine.
Well, now you got some slush money for these fun little leaderboard contests.
Oh yeah, you're right. I got right. That's what I call all my profits, slush money. See, that's the mindset you shouldn't have. Right, you win a bunch of money and it's like, okay, what can I spend it on? My attitude is I win a bunch of money. It's like, okay, now my bankroll is bigger.
Yeah.
Now I have more safety, right? I'm always thinking in terms of like, oh, that's an extra $5,000, like less of a path for me going broke.
Yep.
Right? Like that's how I view it. It's like, oh, well, you have $17 trillion. It's like, love to have 17 trillion at $50 because the $50, you know, I don't want to get down to my last 50. It's a 17 trillion. Like that's the nit mindset.
It's better to have 17 trillion than 16 trillion. That's what Jordan always says.
Right. You can never be too safe. Okay. Thumbs up, smash them, and I'll see you tomorrow. Answering your DFS strategy questions like I always do here, Monday through Friday, 11 o'clock Eastern, on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.